On this pretty sunny day, we are here to celebrate the third the Women's March on Homer. 3 years. This is great. We are here to celebrate women's rights, human rights, and social justice. The march has been organized by a group of dedicated people that I really would like to just give credit to. And they are Karen Murdoch, Monet Raymond, Kate Finn, Amy Woodruff, Satchel Pandolfo, Judith Kramer, Susan Drathman, Susan Cushing, Darlene Hildebrand, Jan Augusta, Nancy Vate, Wes the Mess, Judy Flora, Tara Lynn Dale, Debbie Oitz, Liz Pelekas, and Kathy Carsall. These people, they have come together and done a wonderful job of this. Hope you all will have a good time. I'd also like to thank Rachel at City Hall, DOT, Robert Archibald for the sound system, Josephine Ryan, Dina Faust, and Alan Parks for photography, and anybody else that may be taking pictures that I'm not aware of. I have just a couple of housekeeping issues, and then I'll turn this over to Terry Lynn. First off, as we go, we will be on the sidewalk only, and we will be walking 2 by 2. Please do not get into the road. And if you have children with you, please put them on the inside. If you have dogs, could they please be on leashes? And if anyone comes by and makes negative comments, please just do not have any eye contact, ignore it, and just keep marching on. If you need any assistance, you'll have monitors, and you can see them around here now. They have vests on, and they will be dispersed throughout the march. If you need help or a ride, we have one support vehicle that can accommodate that. Or if you have any emergent issues, let the monitor know and they will get help for you. Please feel free. Thank you. Please feel free to photograph or video activities if you would so choose. And at the end of the march, there will be a group photo at WKFL Park at the gazebo at 12:30. Please collect there for that. And we have activities going on at the college from 12:30 to 2:30, and that includes...
It's not working.
Go ahead and talk. Go ahead and speak.
Move this way, see? You're not supposed to be up that way. You're supposed to be out in this wonderful area over here.
Okay, we'll have a group photo. Then when you finish, we have these activities at the college. And we have a link to stream to the National Women's March, and we also have a link to the Global Women's March. And they will be shown there at the video, as well as a number of community resources have tables there, and you can seek them out for any kind of resource you might have an interest in. Signs can be parked either over by the gazebo or at the doorway of the college while you go into the college if you choose to. And the last thing, when you're leaving, whether you go to the college or you're returning to your cars, please walk within the designated walkways. Thank you, and Terry Lynn now will do the honors of the speakers. Guess where it is. I'll try that. Okay. Hello, Homer. Thank you very, very much for being here today. It's an honor to be a part of the Women's Committee, and it's my job to introduce to you 3 wonderful speakers. So I spoke with them and asked them to tell me a little bit about themselves and what I can tell you. So our first speaker
that I have the honor and privilege of introducing is a woman that many of you may already know, as she's been actively involved in the Homer community for many, many years. When I asked her for a description of herself that I could share with you, she gave me the following self-description. She is, and I quote, "not a snowflake. Instead, she is a badass believer in human rights." I personally am very happy to have this woman as our Kenai Peninsula Borough representative, representing Homer and all of us. I present to you Kelly Cooper.
Thank you, everyone, for asking me to speak today. I'm usually quite comfortable in public speaking, but this group sets a pretty high bar. Not to mention, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. Writing my remarks was a pretty difficult task. I'd prepare them many times, only to find that I hadn't hit the right tone, and I'd rip them up and resolve to get a better tone the next day. It's kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. One version was too harsh. That version was me pounding on my keyboard and releasing a couple of years of pent-up anger about all the steps we've taken backwards at the expense of our fellow human beings that are living in fear, again, because they don't fit this reinvented mold of what an American is supposed to look like. One of my versions was too soft. That version was the, look, we're going to be all right. We've been through tough times in the past, and we've always come through okay. I'm hopeful I can convey just the right version today. The theme this year is the women's wave. Talk about a silver lining in a rough year. A record number of women ran and won seats in Congress. Yeah! There are grassroots movements nationwide with people getting involved and speaking up. We're lining up in city councils and borough chambers, state legislatures' offices, and hallways of congressional buildings in D.C. Elected officials nationwide are more diverse than ever before. We weren't given much time to celebrate, though. This wave made the status quo very uncomfortable. I'll go into more detail on this in a minute. But back to celebrating and understanding why having more women leaders is going to help us navigate the rough road ahead. We women are tenacious and persistent. Congress is being forced to answer to us again about immigration, healthcare, and the environment. The petty stalemates will no longer be tolerated. These women leaders are speaking up. We need to speak up. We have Nancy Pelosi back in her leadership role as the Speaker of the House. Her experience and political savvy are going to be critical as we demand a government and policy making for all Americans. Partisan politics is rampant. There's no limit to vilifying the other side. You know what else women are great at? Collaboration. I'm sick of the blame game and the whataboutism. I'm confident with the number of women and diversity of those newly elected representatives, effective collaboration will indeed get the wheels moving again. Research also shows women have what scientists call executive social skills. Our female brains have evolved a keener ability to pick up the nuances of posture and gesture, read complex emotions in faces, and hear slight changes in tone of voice. Because of this, women are specialists at cultivating relationships of depth and trust. If you're not convinced, think back to your childhood and your teenage years, when you wondered if your mother had eyes in the back of her head, or she really could read your mind. She could. I'll finish with what I hope this group can do to help combat the elevation of hate, racism, and division in our community and countrywide. I believe social media is one of our larger problems. The anonymity and power of having debates while hammering away on our keyboards removes accountability and gives us courage to type whatever pops in our head. The days of having conversations or disagreements while looking at each other are few and far between. Therefore, manners and empathy aren't as necessary. We don't see the pain we cause when we look at a screen. We're alienating our friends and neighbors. We see memes and articles that we report and share with, that we repost and share with abandon. We've become lazy in our fact-checking, cruel in jabbing those with a differing opinion. We see something that agrees with our preconceived views and biases, so we believe it to be true. We used to be able to trust our leaders and held them to a higher standard. Tribalism is at the forefront of this electronic communication we use. How do we recover the ability to coexist in our communities with those that have different views from ours or belong to that other tribe? I don't stand here pretending to have all the answers or to be innocent of making these very mistakes, but together we can be better. So won't you join me in adding a hashtag to your social media practices? Hashtag for fact's sake. When inaccurate information shows up on your newsfeed that encourages racism, hate, and division, take the time to do your research. Verify its accuracy and share it, but with a hashtag for fact's sake. Dig for the truth. Continue to question what you know to be wrong. Speak up for what is true. There will be a conclusion to all we've been witnessing in the not-too-distant future. And then what? This is where empathy comes in. We have to give those that were on the opposite side of us a path back from what they believe to be true. We know humans tend to hate what they fear. Fear is a powerful emotion. If someone tells us a lie and we believe it because it makes us comfortable or confirms our biases and preconception, it takes root in our brain. And before long, it's truth in our mind. And then it snowballs. This false information is confirmed over and over from those we follow and those that have our ear. So we now know it must be true. Safety in numbers. We often judge ourselves as not being good enough in any number of ways as we went through our adolescent years. But we still judge others. With judgment comes polarity, separation, and the need to punish and be punished. If we focus on coming back together, the need to be right by proving the other wrong will diminish. Let's help each other return to our common sense. Speak up for the truth. Offer to have these electronic debates in person or over coffee. I know a good coffee shop, by the way. Just kidding. Ask questions to find that common ground. And most importantly, do what my hero, the notorious RBG, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg says, anger is a useless emotion. It doesn't get you anywhere. Go out and do something positive. Thank you for having me here today, and I look forward to hearing from other speakers.
That was pretty wonderful, wasn't it? Yes. Boom. All right. I now have the honor and privilege of introducing a woman in our community who has lived in Alaska since 1950 and in Homer for 42 years. She served as First Lady of Homer for 8 years and has served on many local boards while raising 3 sons and working in social services advocacy. She is a feminist, an artist, and an activist. Her work has earned her the Haven House recognition as a woman of wisdom. She served 7 years as member and chair of the Alaska State Council on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. With her commitment to positive change, we now have programs in place such as Green Dot, Girls on the Run, Coaching Boys into Men, among many others. I proudly present my friend and your next speaker, Susan Phillips Cushing.
Hello, Homer! Can you hear me? Can you hear me roar? One march, one goal. Take back our nation's soul. I was practicing my speech last night wearing my pussy hat in front of my cat. And he went outside. I told Terry Lynn in an email, and she said, perhaps he was offended by your pussy hat, but he liked your speech. So I hope you're not offended by my pussy hat, floppy ears and all, and maybe you'll like my speech. I'll do my best. It's an honor to be asked to speak to you. Would you rather be safe than sorry? Stay in your comfort zone and avoid confrontation? Pretend you're just an innocent bystander? Mind your own business? Or would you rather be sorry than safe? Get out of your zone of apathy. Confront hatred, violence, and bigotry. Interrupt assault. Stop it from happening? Yes, we need to be afraid. Afraid that we will do nothing. Afraid that there will be no pendulum swing, no change. We must have conversations about the tough questions. We cannot let bullying kick us back into silent apathy. We won't be safe, but the truth is, none of us are safe now. It's not safe to ignore the existence of discrimination. It's not safe to polarize and divide amongst our people. Is the United States of America united in name only? Will it become the United Hates of America? But sorry, we cannot be a tool of those using fear and hate to divide us. And that is why we march today. We must continue to show up, speak out, and vote. Sorry to fight amongst ourselves and witness our leadership use federal workers as bargaining chips in a quest to further divide our country. It's not safe to alienate the hard workers in our government. Look around you and find a furloughed federal worker in our midst. We support you. We hope you are here marching with us. I lived in Alaska when it was a territory. In 1959, it proclaimed statehood and was governed by Democrats. It was not until the quest for resource extraction in the mid-70s that it became much more conservative. It was fairly safe to live here then. But now, Alaska is the state with the highest rate of domestic violence, sexual assault, suicide, alcoholism, and drug addiction, and in 2016 was named by the FBI as the most dangerous state in the nation. We must work to change this. This is not safe, and we're so sorry. Many men and boys think that this Women's March is only for women and girls. Sorry for that misunderstanding. It is safe for all genders and races to march together, to speak out, take chances. In fact, I marched on Washington the first year with my husband, my son, my brother and sister-in-law at my side. It was mind-boggling to see so many people of all colors non-violently amassing along Pennsylvania Avenue, moving as one body, when indeed there were a million bodies. When an ambulance needed to press through the masses, people quietly separated as if it were the parting of the Red Sea. We were totally safe. Only 100 years ago, the women's suffragette movement brought the right to vote to women. The final needed vote came from a delegate whose mother passed him a note and said, "You vote yes." Women power. Many people, especially women, suffered and died for this right. If we can do nothing else, we must exercise our right to vote. Yeah! Yet, sorry, little known fact, the Equal Rights Amendment is not yet in our Constitution. Our right to vote is not safe. Until the 14th Amendment is ratified in 38 states, in order to be added, only then will the right to vote equally by both genders be protected and guaranteed. 37 states have ratified it as of today. It's very close. Virginia has passed it in its Senate, and it now goes to the House. If that happens, there will be 38. However, it is not inevitable that this will get it into our Constitution, so we must pay very close attention. I'm proud to say that Alaska was one of the first states to ratify the 14th Amendment. Woo-hoo! In 1913, Alaska gave women the right to vote in the territory. So, rather be safe than sorry? Stay home and watch on TV the fall of our nation into disillusionment and division? Or keep writing our congressional delegation, paying attention to what's going on, calling them. Call them in, don't call them out. Most of all, it's safe to march to the polls, which we did in 2018. 1,000 women ran for office as a result of the Women's March in 2017. More women will serve in the House and Senate than ever before. We're not sorry for getting out of our comfort zones and running for office. It's a women's wave. Now, we march forward to the polls again in 2020. What does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like. What does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like. Who's sorry now? Not us. One march, one goal. Take back our nation's soul. Thank you.
I now have the honor and privilege to introduce to you a woman who has very likely, directly or indirectly, had a positive impact upon you or someone you love. She has spent the last 5 years being the pastor of Homer United Methodist Church. I proudly present our speaker, Reverend Lisa Talbot. Do unto others as you would have them.
Do unto you.
In a world in which there is so much that people disagree on, can we not just agree on the golden rule. It is at the heart of every major belief system in the world. The Hindu Mahabharata says, this is the sum of duty. Do not do to others which would cause pain to you. In an Islamic hadith, the Prophet Muhammad says, not one of you truly believes until you wish for others the same as you wish for yourself. In the Jewish Talmud, Hillel says, what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. That is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. In the Christian Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor. When I talk about love, I am not talking about that squishy, fluffy, Hallmark kind of love. I am talking about the hard work of loving our neighbors. The hard work of love requires courage, it requires compassion, and it requires creativity. The hard work of love takes courage. Courage like the tens of thousands of members of the United States Coast Guard who are showing up to work every single day without pay, ensuring our safety and living up to their motto, Semper Paratus, always ready. It takes courage to take care of your country when your country does not take care of you. The hard work of love takes courage. Courage like the parent of a child with addiction, setting the hard boundaries. No, I will not give you money. No, I will not loan you my car. No, I will not bail you out again. It takes courage to release the expectations of a lifetime, but always live in hope for your child. That is the courage of love. The hard work of love also takes compassion. Compassion like food pantry volunteers sorting through flat after flat of moldy fruit in order to salvage every good berry so that their clients can receive a healthy and nutritious diet. Compassion like all those local businesses who have set aside their own bottom lines to help federal workers in need right now. Those around town who have offered discounts and deferred payments and zero-interest loans and free meals. Doing the hard work of love also takes creativity. Finding new solutions to old problems. Creativity like the grassroots effort to create a syringe exchange program in our town so that those who are suffering from addiction don't also have to suffer from hepatitis or HIV. It is the creative and hard work of love that hands out Narcan kits and trains people how to stop an overdose because we believe that addiction does not deserve the death penalty. The hard work of love takes the creativity to see that if we work together to limit the number of adverse childhood experiences kids in our community face, we can raise a generation of children stronger and more resilient than ever before. Love is hard work. Loving our neighbors as ourselves means looking at them with fresh eyes and seeing who they really are. Yogi Bhajan says, if you do not see God in all, you do not see God at all. Jesus said, what you do for the least of these, you do for me. The hard work of love means looking at your neighbors and seeing the face of the divine. And that means all of your neighbors, even the ones who don't look like you or act like you or love like you or vote like you or march like you. If we want to take back our nation's soul, we have to commit to doing the hard work of love. And we have to do it with courage. We have to do it with compassion. And we have to do it with creativity. We are called to love.
and that is the hardest work that we can do. But I know that we can do it together. Thank you.